In a quiet suburban neighborhood in Middle America, where maple trees line the streets and front porches host lemonade stands in summer, Thomas Carter, a retired librarian with a hearing impairment, prided himself on being a good neighbor. Though his world had grown quieter with age, he compensated with meticulous routines. When he learned his elderly neighbor Mr. Jenkins had fallen ill, Thomas resolved to pay a visit. "I must be careful," he thought. "If I mishear him, he might suspect my deafness. Best to plan ahead." Settling into his armchair, Thomas scripted the conversation in his mind. I'll ask, "How are you feeling?" He'll say, "On the mend, thanks." I'll reply, "Thank goodness." "What's helped?" He'll mention chicken soup or Tylenol. I'll say, "Smart choice." Then ask, "Who's your doctor?" He'll name Dr. Miller from the clinic. I'll say, "Bless his heart, he's the best." Satisfied, Thomas grabbed a casserole, his signature tuna bake, and headed next door. Mr. Jenkins, gaunt and pale, answered the door clutching a heating pad. Thomas said cheerily,
"How are you feeling, neighbor?"
Mr. Jenkins groaned.
"Like I've been hit by a truck."
Of course, Thomas thought he was being modest, misreading the pained expression. He replied,
"Thank goodness. What's helped you recover?"
"Rat poison. Accidentally drank it. Still queasy."
Thomas nodded.
"Smart choice. Nothing like home remedies." "And your doctor? Who's treating you?"
"Dr. Reaper at Death's Door Clinic."
"Ah, bless his heart. I've heard he's excellent."
He set down the casserole.
"This'll build your strength. Let's catch up soon."
As Thomas left, Mr. Jenkins rasped,
"Are you trying to kill me?"
but Thomas, already halfway down the path, waved cheerfully, replaying the perfect visit in his mind. That evening, Thomas recounted the interaction to his book club.
"Mr. Jenkins is so resilient. We had a lovely chat about his recovery."
The group praised his kindness, unaware of the comedy of errors. Mr. Jenkins, meanwhile, called his niece.
"That lunatic brought poison casserole. Next time, let's just text."
At its core, this story is a mirror held up to one of humanity's most persistent frailties: our tendency to substitute assumptions for understanding. Thomas, with his rehearsed script and earnest intentions, embodies a paradox we all face: the desire to connect clashing with the fear of vulnerability. His hearing impairment is not merely a physical condition, but a metaphor for the emotional and psychological static that distorts our interactions. Pride, prejudice, and the stories we cling to about how life should unfold. Rumi's ancient wisdom, reframed here in a modern Western context, asks us to confront an uncomfortable truth. We often love the idea of kindness more than the messy work of practicing it. Thomas's meticulously planned dialogue, a performative checklist of proper questions and blessings, reveals how easily compassion becomes transactional. He seeks validation as a good neighbor more than he seeks to know his neighbor. In doing so, he mirrors our own rituals. The hollow, "How are you?" tossed like a coin into a wishing well, the reflexive thoughts and prayers offered more to soothe our guilt than to heal another's pain. But the story's deeper lesson lies in its irony. The louder our certainty, the less we hear. Thomas's rehearsed lines, "Smart choice," "Bless his heart," are not malicious. They are, in fact, tributes to societal norms, the scripts we inherit about decency and duty. Yet these very scripts become cages. When Mr. Jenkins rasps, "rat poison," Thomas's inability to pivot, to let shock shatter his prepared narrative, exposes the fragility of connection built on autopilot. We see here the chasm between intent and impact. A casserole meant to nourish becomes a symbol of carelessness. A compliment about a doctor twists into a cruel joke. This dissonance echoes beyond individual missteps. It critiques a culture obsessed with solutions over solidarity, answers over awe. In an age of instant messaging and AI chatbots, we've grown adept at efficiency in communication but often forfeit empathy. We solve grief with platitudes, fix loneliness with small talk, and mistake silence for resolution. Thomas's blunder with Mr. Jenkins is a microcosm of this collective failing. We prioritize the optics of compassion over the uncomfortable sacred act of sitting with another's pain. Yet the tale is not without hope. Its sharp humor, a man praising Dr. Reaper, invites us to laugh at our own folly, to recognize the universality of these missteps. The true moral lies not in condemning Thomas, but in asking, how might we rewrite the script? The answer begins with unlearning the arrogance of assumption. To listen is to surrender the need to control the narrative, to release our grip on right answers and instead ask, tell me more. It demands the courage to say, I don't understand, but I'm here. This is where Rumi's spiritual thread weaves through the story. Presence is prayer. Just as a clenched fist cannot receive water, a mind clenched around preconceptions cannot receive truth. Ultimately, the story invites us to replace performance with patience. Imagine if Thomas had paused when Mr. Jenkins mentioned poison, had leaned in, eyes wide, and whispered, "That sounds terrifying. How can I help?" Such moments of raw presence are where healing begins. They require no scripts, only the humility to admit we don't know, and the faith that true connection blooms not in the certainty of answers, but in the fertile soil of shared silence. Let go of the need to be the hero with all the lines. Sometimes the greatest gift is not a casserole, but a question, and the courage to hear the answer.